first movie of 2026 is officially in the books. I watched We Buried the Dead, just got out of theater about an hour or so ago. This movie released January 2nd, so last Friday. Stars Daisy Ridley and Britton Thwart. It's basically a zombie horror film in a non-traditional sense. The basic synopsis is, after a military catastrophe, the dead don't just rise, they hunt. Ava searches for her missing husband, but what she finds is far more terrifying. Kind of generic kind of synopsis for a movie there. But initially there's a U.S. military disaster that occurs outside of Tasmania. And this causes everybody to die within a certain radius. And so the Australian surrounding are asking for volunteers to go into the towns and basically track the dead bodies, go into all the houses, pull them out so they can do a mass burial, get rid of any of the dead. But as these volunteers are flying in and talking to some of the military people on the buses, they initially learn that some of these people don't stay dead and they come back. They don't really dive too deep into it. All they do is say, hey, if you come across any of them that are up and walking around, they're going to be a little docile, but just head outside and hit your flare and we'll come take care of them. So that's kind of the start of the movie. Just Daisy Ridley working with a couple other people and eventually teaming up with Clay, played by Brenton. And they just go in the houses, pull dead bodies out when they see the ones moving around. They call the military and they come and take care of them. But the reason Ava, the character Daisy plays, is there is to go find her husband, who was on a work trip down in the southern end of the islands. And so she's gets the help with Clay to mosey their way down to this resort where her husband's company was having an offsite. And so the story follows them making their way down there. A few different things happen that, pretty predictable. You can kind of tell they run into some military people, and that they obviously don't have the best intentions or have questionable intentions to why they're kind of out on their own. But overall, the movie is a slow burn. It's trying to say something about grief and kind of the expectations of life and having that opportunity to say goodbye to someone, especially in regards to one of the reasons they give for some of these dead coming back is that they don't. The reason they came back is they have some unfinished business. And so even though the person there is not there mentally completely, there's something going on that causes them to reanimate per se. And they kind of dive into it a little bit with kind of the Ava's backstory with her husband. There's something going on with some of the flashbacks. It's probably typical relationship stuff that happens in a movie. But overall, when you watch the trailer, it kind of gives a different essence of what the movie might be. Like, yeah, it starts out one way and then maybe gets a little more action-packed. For me, I traditionally like my zombie movies a bit more action-oriented. And overall, I didn't really think this one was really that big of a horror movie. It's more of a drama. I wouldn't even say thriller at all, but it is very very a slow burn that doesn't really, it kind of peters out towards the end. It doesn't really go anywhere big. They don't really dive into why they were doing these experiments, outside of it just being a military testing that went awry with some testing of some missiles or EMPs, which I think is what is used in this, because it's not an actual bomb that goes off. It's just an EMP that kind of takes out these areas and impacts everybody who ends up dead. But I'd probably give this movie a 2 out of 5 stars. I think it was well made. It was a little slow paced, but it looked good. The zombies, not super interesting. They make some weird noises, but they kind of reminded me of the clickers from Last of Us, as opposed to being something original. Definitely a movie I would probably skip in the theater. The reason I watch it, AMC A-list, so I'm always going to movies, and A-list is like the best value for me right now. So if this is a trailer you saw you might be interested in, I'd recommend waiting for it to hit the streaming services, because it is a bit of slow burn. But if you do really enjoy just watching movies in the theater, it's not a terrible film to sit through, but it is a little dry, a little slow, and it doesn't really go anywhere that's not unexpected. Like all the tropes that happen, you can see them coming from down the road. But yeah, until next time, I hope you all have a good rest of the day.